everyone. This week's old time tune is going to be Say Darling Say. And it's a really old one. I believe it was first recorded in about 1928. It's in the key of D. I tuned my fiddle to A, D, A, E. But we won't be using the lower string really in the melody. It's more if you're playing backup or the melody down an octave. So some things to know before we start this tune is that the phrases are 6 measures long. So the whole form is 4 big 6 measure phrases. The first 2 start a little bit lower. The second 2 start a little bit higher. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. It's very repetitive. So that's pretty similar to a lot of old time tunes. But when you get kind of these slight little differences, that's what makes it really fun. So I'm gonna start playing it the way that I normally play it, and I'll make it more simple each time. I'll play it 3 times through, and then we'll start simple, and I'll teach you how to throw in the fun stuff. Basic way to play the tune. So the downbeat is on this F sharp, and that's the way we'll learn it, but eventually we'll kind of anticipate that note by playing starting it on beat 4 instead of beat 1. But here's the first phrase. And for fiddle players, I just throw in a 2-note slur and play it separate from there. So do that one more time. Go. Now, usually we want to try to get down bows on the downbeats of major phrases, but sometimes we might alter that so that the bowings come out better. So this is one of those cases where the next phrase actually starts here. So that's pretty syncopated. Here's the beat. Da-dum, da, ba, ba-dum, bum. So the downbeat's on the B, you slur into it. Then, so the bowing there is up, down, up, down, up. Again, up, down, up, down, up. From the beginning. Ready, go. One more time. Ready, go. Now, the last phrase, I'm gonna go, since we ended on an A on an up bow, I kind of do a little B-A thing to reiterate the note. There are other ways to do that later, but that's how we're gonna do it for now. So. So let me just play that a couple more times. Da, 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 da. So the bowing is you slow down, then a separate on the A, and a separate on a B, slow the next three, and then the last two Ds down, up. So again, down, up, down, up, down, up. So that's those first two big phrases. That's how we're going to play those. Let's try all that together. 1, 2, 3, go. So let's add a little bit of a variation right away. We're going to anticipate the beginning of the big phrases. So it'll be 4, 1. And again here, 1. So you see that you have to steal from the D a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So the next thing we're going to add are drones, and this works for any instrument really. You just have to find the right ones. But for fiddle, we're going to mostly drone A and then D. When you're on the A string, you'll drone the D. So here's what it sounds with the anticipations and now the drones. 1, 2, 3. Also do that to make that anticipation have even more of an accent. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Add one there too. Right here. And here's a little bit of a push bow. So instead of, you can anticipate the D as well. 1, 2, and 3. So, and then if you also accent where the note used to start, it's like, is what the bow is doing, then with the hammer on. So yeah. Part now, and when you listen to lots of different recordings and fiddle players, there's even variation of how to play the variation. It goes up high to the A somewhere is what we hear is the common denominator between them, but this is the way that I like to play it. So the notes without the bowing are just so that's basically 2 measures, and then the rest of it's the exact same. So let's get the notes first, then we'll talk about some bowing. So the first 4 notes are, and then the next 4. Let's put those together. And then, so put them together. And then this is where you would connect. That's that up bow downbeat kind of thing for the second phrase. So this is what there's a couple options what you can do here. I do, it's a combination of what's called like a syncopated shuffle, where you have a single note, then a slur of two, then a single note again, and then another slur of two. So you have down, up, down, up, down, up. That would be that first part. Then I also like to put a 3-note slur here. It breaks up all these separate notes. However, you can play it with separate notes if you like. It still is going to sound okay. I think there's no problem with that. You could also do a basic shuffle bow, which is just slur, separate, slur, separate. However, that does put you on an up bow there, so you'd have to change something in there. So if you want to do the bowing that I do, again, it's down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Again. And it's the same. And then you can also anticipate that. And the drone for that would be just that open A. And then the D when you go to that. So let's try that whole second big phrase with starting with the variation, and do this a couple times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That I like to do, and this has to do with hinting at what chords are happening. If you look at, let me grab the chord chart for this. In the second half of this, so here's the chord chart here. We have da 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 da. So that note switches to a G, da da da, ba-dum. Then it switches to D, A chord back to D. So I can, let me see if I can kind of hold those up so you can see them. And see if you can notice where I hinted that. So if I play that this D, it makes it more obvious when you go to an A chord. So you can play around with other chords too, but that's one more variation that I like to add. So let's just play this a few times. If you need to stick with the basic version without drones, hammer-ons, all that stuff, that's perfectly fine. But throw in as many of the things as you want. Let's do it a couple times through. So remember, we start the low phrase twice and then the high phrase twice, and then we'll do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. once you get comfortable with that melody, there's a lot of things you can do to make your own variations and play around with it a little bit, but listen to some references so you can kind of know what's too much and how much you can do.